2B from Nier Automata was announced during Granblue Fest a few weeks ago when she is planned to be released late February of this year. Now with this announcement, I was expecting a bigger conversation to be had for her inclusion, but nonetheless, I know we all know this is potentially a big deal for the future of Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, and if you don't, well, I'm here to tell you why it is right now. 2B's inclusion in Rising means that she is the first guest character to appear in the Versus series. This is really big because 2B is not only a beloved character, part of a beloved IP, but she also falls in line with a lot of side games business practices, which can possibly tell us what the future holds for us with Rising and possibly even Granblue Relink. If you guys aren't familiar with the Granblue Fantasy mobile game, Side Games is known for having huge collaborations with very popular IPs. They collaborated with series like Street Fighter, Final Fantasy, Code Geass, and even something as crazy as Bobo Bobobo. The list expands over so many different IPs, providing a lot of content for the Granblue mobile game. But ultimately, I bring this up to say that Side Games has the connections and work ethic to bring in many more guest characters for the future of Rising, and that has me excited. I love when fighting games include guest characters because it allows the genre to expand its reach to a larger audience, which in return introduce so many people to the world of fighting games. The success of Mortal Kombat and even Tekken shows the power of guest characters, and I want that for Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. Now I know everybody's not going to agree with that, and I know all of y'all don't want it. People love these IPs and characters for a reason, so having a guest character being introduced definitely tends to feel like that they are taking a roster slot from these original characters. I understand that sentiment, I really do, but at the same time, the energy and excitement guest characters bring to fighting games tends to be unmatched for me personally, so I love their inclusion. So much so that 2B's announcements had me create this video to provide you guys a list of future collabs that I think possibly could come to Granblue Rising. Now before we get started, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, if you want to see more Granblue content. Also comment down below who would you like to see as a guest character for Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. Without further ado, let's get into this video. To start, I want to go one of my favorite video game series of all time and an IP that Side Games has collaborated with in the past. This series has a big release coming up in actually a few weeks, and since they already have a business relationship with Side Games, I just think it's a no-brainer to add a Persona rep into Granblue Rising. Now most of you will automatically gravitate towards Persona 5 since it was the collaboration that they did in the mobile game, and Sega and Atlus has only used the Phantom Thieves for majority of their collabs since P5 release. Joker will be an amazing addition to Rising, and I think he fits perfectly in the Granblue world because of how the whole Thieves of History aesthetic works in Persona 5, but I'm going to go with the big brain play and say the actual character that will represent the franchise, if this would happen, would be Makoto Yuki from Persona 3. With Persona 3 Reload being Atlus' next big release and it being one of the longest developed Persona games in the franchise, I believe that Reload would not only be bringing the love of 3 back through its release, but I believe Atlus will begin to push and treat P3 Reload like it is a brand new entry, similar to how they've been treating Persona 5. I'm very confident that Persona 3 will be the face of the franchise for the next few years, or at bare minimum share that spotlight with Persona 5 because of how much of an impact this upcoming release will have for Sega/Atlus. Makoto is a strong protagonist just like Joker, and I think he represents the franchise just as good. Finally, seeing him in a fighting game is honestly one of my dreams, and if you guys have been around long enough, you would know I even did a video wishing he was in Persona 4 Arena. My personal pick is Makoto, but any form of Persona representation within Rising would just have me satisfied regardless. Now this next one will probably be the biggest collab that this game will ever receive, and similar to Persona, they've actually worked with this company in the past. I believe if Granblue Fantasy Versus will receive any collaboration, I think they would definitely attempt to work with Square Enix again, but this time bring Final Fantasy to the world of Granblue. But not just any Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy VII. FF7 Rebirth officially launches this year in late February, just like 2B. This is without a doubt one of the biggest releases of the year, so if Side Games could pull this off as a collab for Rising, it would completely break the internet. Now the interesting question comes to mind: who would they pick to represent Final Fantasy VII in Rising? Immediately, majority of you are going to be thinking Cloud. He is the protagonist of the series and is the character that represents the installment in the franchise, but entertain this idea for me. Imagine it's final day at EVO and Rising is getting ready to start Grand Finals, but before they do, the Cygames team has a trailer to announce. Everything goes dark, then all of a sudden a Granblue mix of one winged angel comes on to reveal Sephiroth as the next guest character for Rising. Would that not be sick? I love protagonists and I love Cloud, but I think introducing one of the most iconic villain characters in video game history just sets the precedence for Cygames that they are capable of adding anyone they please to Rising, and whoever they pick would be just unexpected. I mean, I'm not even a big Final Fantasy fanboy, but I know if this ever happens, there's no way I'm going to be missing out on this, because Sephiroth or even Cloud's inclusion will elevate Rising to a completely different level. Now, this upcoming pick is less about a franchise or any specific character, but I'm going to be tackling an entire genre. This enters a domain that no fighting game has ever entered in, but I think Granblue could be the first. I think Cygames could make Granblue Rising the first fighting game to introduce a popular anime IP as a guest character. We know all about the huge request for people asking for Goku to be in Smash Bros, but we know that never happened. What if I told you Cygames has had business relationship with IPs on a similar scale, like One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, and even Demon Slayer? Yes, all of these has been collabs, a part of the Granblue mobile game already, and they are even running a My Hero Academia event right now. Introducing characters from popular shonen series would be an achievement that no other fighting game has done, and I believe Granblue could be the first. I mean, as soon as 2B was announced, I was already seeing people asking for Gojo to be a DLC character in the game. Now, does that mean that any character from any popular shonen anime could fit within Rising? No, but I'm just saying that Cygames could have a lot of fun with picking an assortment of different guest characters from any popular anime IP, and it would just create a lot of excitement, especially since they already have a relationship established with a lot of big shonen properties. You can't tell me that if one of your favorite anime characters got into Granblue that you wouldn't be hyped for it. You can't convince me you wouldn't. What? And finally, I felt like that I had to bring it back. We had to come back to the roots of where we're starting at and finally set some of the last guest characters that I think will come into Rising or could come into Rising would be popular characters from fighting game IPs. If you aren't aware, the people at Cygames are huge fighting game fans. Characters like Anelia and Feather are references to popular SNK characters like Rock Howard and Terry Bogard. They even did a collab event for Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5 in the Granblue mobile game. Honestly, what this all alludes to me is that I feel like that having a fighting game character would be essentially a no-brainer and should be expected to happen with Granblue Rising. It's really hard to say which franchise in particular they'll go about, but we do have some primary suspects that I definitely think are good candidates just because they are upcoming games or ongoing games right now, like Tekken 8, Street Fighter 6, Guilty Gear Strive, and Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Out of everything, these will more than likely be the easiest inclusions for them to grab, so if they continue to do guest characters after 2B, I would definitely expect popular fighting game characters to come over into Granblue Rising. But that's essentially it for this video. I just wanted to talk about the possible guest characters that we could receive after 2B being announced. And since personally with me, I'm used to guest characters since I play Mortal Kombat and I tend to like their inclusions a lot, I wanted to spark up this conversation and see how you guys felt. Again, I understand the sentiment of people actually wanting actual Granblue characters, so I am also on the side that we shouldn't be overloaded with guest characters within, like, say, a season anyway. But either way, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, especially if you want to see more Granblue content. And again, comment down below what guest character or even franchise or genre would you love to see Cygames tackle to be represented in Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.